Away, Gyre.
All right, hello everyone. Hope you're excited for some waking up of Link here today, and we're going to be doing a glitchless run for Link's Awakening DX, which is the enhanced version for the Game Boy Color of the original Link's Awakening. And tonight I'm joined by two lovely commentators. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. So I'm Poexel. A lot of people know that I like to keep it kind of close to the chest what my favorite Final Fantasy game is, but I very freely admit that Link's Awakening is my favorite Zelda game, and I'm looking forward to having the best seat in the house for Gyre's run of it tonight.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. I am Vonnie Von, and I am here because I am clearly very much an enthusiast of games that were very clearly inspired by me. So that's my role, basically.
Well, hopefully you have a great time watching Link's Awakening here today, and
Yes.
For our hero, we are going to need a file name here.
Well, I believe there's been a last-minute snipe. With $256, your name will be Dan.
Yeah.
Oh no.
And I believe I know
kidding.
why. We have a $250 donation here from BD Jeffy P, who says, "Our dreams have become a nightmare. Dan has appeared.
I think we have a good class to change Dan into later, too.
The presence of Dan looms over Koholint Island, and owls tremble with fright. The windfish hopes for a swift release from their true nightmare in speedrun fashion with the legend of Agama, Dan's Awakening DX.
This is going to be an adventure here today. Thank you very much for that. And thank you to all of our donors as well that have contributed throughout the event. For this run, we will have, as an additional bonus, I think it is very nearly met if it has not already been met, we have the color dungeon, which will be done near the very end of this run.
We have indeed met that incentive
Hey,
with $1,600 raised.
All right, so that means you get an extra 10 minutes of Link's Awakening, so we'll be looking at an hour 55 for our estimate. And I think we are all set to begin. Host, are you all ready? Commentators,
You
are you all
bet
set
I'm
here?
Ready?
Let's do this.
Why don't we
Is
begin?
Dan ready, though?
Dan is never going to be ready, and we all know this.
Dan is Dan. That's all he needs to be.
Yep.
But let's get started. We're going to start in 3, 2, 1, go.
Good luck.
And one thing you'll notice right off the bat is that normally this game is played in Japanese because it is so very, very much faster, but we're playing in English so that you can follow along with the story. It's an incredible, heart-tugging story here, and it involves no Zelda whatsoever, no Hyrule. We are on Koholint Island, and this is Marin. And Terran.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely the first Zelda game to have really any kind of story at all, other than, like, go rescue people and or beat up evil pig demon.
We might see a little bit of our evil pig demon, but yes, it is a very different storyline just in general with how much it emphasizes the role-playing aspects of the game. And that's something that I really wanted to bring to RPG Limit Break, especially as we've never had a Zelda truly in the series, although
Yeah.
Lonnie has played very similar games to Zelda's.
Yeah, some similarities.
But our first thing here, we got our shield here. We're going to go ahead and grab our sword as well, because you got to have a sword and shield if you're a hero of any of these games that we're playing in these events. And another thing that you have to have at all times is owls. We will be about 8 or so minutes slower than Japanese versions, mostly because of the owl text and
Oh,
a
boy.
few other dialog boxes throughout the game, but the text speed differences is pretty tremendous, which is why Japanese is the only version that you'll see for the glitchless category. For other categories, especially for glitched ones, you might have a variety of different game versions that you play, depending on which specific glitches that you have in your category.
I do like when you approach from the left, though, and then when you do that, you kill the urchin on the left, too. Yeah.
I took a little checkpoint here up at Bow's house. I didn't walk all the way back from the beach, and still we're going to go up to the Moblin Forest, which is where they keep all the Moblin problems and more of the owls.
Oh, goodness.
You're going to hate this owl by the end of this game, don't worry.
All right.
Yeah, if you didn't get enough from the King's Quest V run earlier in the event, yeah.
And so far, this owl's just kind of mysterious, talking about this Koholint Island and this windfish. We got no idea who this is, although you can see a windfish right here. My lovely shirt here is illustrating the main plot of Link's Awakening, which you all get to enjoy with lots of instrumentation. But as we head up into Moblin Forest, this is where you have the infamous Moblin skip, which is my favorite trick of the entire run. It's so precise in terms of how you have to set it up. There's RNG for the Moblin position. You got pixel-perfect bumping of the Moblin. You got all these timing aspects for how you're going to go ahead and break the Moblin's arrow fire. It's really, really fun.
Yeah, you're not supposed to be hitting the crystals from across that pit, by the way. He was doing kind of a really precise positioning there in order to...
It just gets things a little bit done faster for going through here. But I will say, there's one thing that comes up all the time, which is that Moblin Skip, isn't that a glitch? The answer is no, but I'm going to do this quest anyway for 2 minutes, and I'm going to tell you why this Glitchless category allows things like the Moblin Skip, which you would think, people are going to be coming in and asking, what is a glitch and what is not a glitch? And ultimately, a glitch is really something that is not super well defined. You've got a concept of, is a game supposed to do a certain thing? And that's an opinion of a community that runs these games. And so you run Glitches categories as well, so you probably have some experience with this here as well in terms of the things that
some of them I've defined the rule set myself too, and that's always a very interesting process.
But one of the big things about Glitches categories is that ultimately it's about how you have fun with the category. And this game has so many glitches. If you watch an any percent speedrun of this game, it would be over about now.
Yes.
There's an arbitrary code execution that you can finish the game in 2 minutes or so. There's another one that takes 4 minutes. There's other categories that range all the way up from 40 to 55 minutes. But I like Glitches because it shows off so much more of the storyline for it. And of all the things that you get to see throughout here, the best thing that I love about this game is just how much it has an emotional connection to you and illustrates kind of a lot of the aspects that, we talked about how you kind of don't really have in a Zelda game all that often up until this point, but gets more and more common throughout the series as the years went on, where they went for more of a story aspect. And that's what I want to see emphasized at RPG Limit Break especially.
Now, you were talking a lot about the different categories. What about a 100% category of this?
So there's a 100% category, which I think there's also a 100% glitchless category if you want to combine everything together. And that covers things like getting all the photographs, making up all of the heart pieces, which we're going to skip basically all of the upgrades in this game entirely. But it's a fun one as well for people that really enjoy the collecting aspects of things.
Nice round of Tanuki pinball there, too.
Yeah, Taryn had a little accident and turned into Tanuki. But now that we have done that, we have gotten to the other side of the Moblin Skip pit, which you would have seen. But that is my little rant about glitchless categories and when people come in and say, oh, that's not allowed. Well, almost everything we're going to be doing is going to be as much as possible trying to avoid every tiny little glitch of the game. But there are some things which is going to come down to a matter of opinion for communities for it. And that's an example of one of those.
Yeah, I guess to be clear, too, when he says Moblin Skip, he meant just getting damage boosted over a pit near where you grab that mushroom in order to get the tail key without actually needing magic powder.
Now, fortunately, we would have reconvened with this route regardless of which one that I did. The magic powder is something I could go and grab in the trendy game here coming up. But I will just go and switch on over to the second part of that, which is to go and get the Yoshi doll. That's going to start the main story quest of this game. Really, this game is not about the dungeons. It is about trading items.
Sorry about that. I was going to say, do I have a quick minute here?
Yeah, go ahead, jump in.
Well, the arrival of Dan has triggered quite the avalanche of donations. We have $50 from Cassini2K4, who says, "Greetings, Jair. Glad to see you're doing well. May the run be blessed by Ace, Bill, Cal, and, yes, even Dan. Jim, sadly, is unavailable, since having been devoured by bees. Donation
we will have
goes
some
to
bees.
upgrade Wexel's finale run. We have $250 from Wudge, who says, if this goes well, can we get some virtual highlight as a bonus run?
Oh, Lordy.
$25 from Alfina, who says, Link, I mean, Dan, he come to town, come to save... Wait, that's not Zelda.
So we're about to be very, very naughty, by the way, too, because like, have you, when in like an RPG especially, have you ever just wished you could just steal stuff from the shop because you either it's too inconvenient to get the money? Well, there you go.
Yeah, these items are very, very expensive, so we would not want to grind out for the amount of time it would take to do this. Unfortunately, we do get slightly murdered by the shopkeeper as a result.
Yeah, which does unfortunately lock us out of getting the best ending for the game, because you do have to beat the game deathless for that.
Topically, we have $25 from Chibi Shala, who says, well, guess what, Gyre Thief? You're on stage at RPG Limit Break. Are you proud of yourself? I know a lot of us are. Good luck with the run, and here's hoping Bow Wow gets his vegetables quickly.
I definitely hope Bow Wow has been getting real hungry lately.
Yeah, and another side effect of stealing from the shop, too, is a class change, too, as far as what Dan has referred to, not really in the save screen, but in dialogue in the game. We'll leave that as a surprise for people that don't already know, too.
We'll do our first exchange here. We're going to trade our Yoshi doll, who is a very popular character in Nintendo games, for a ribbon, which we have no idea what this is going to do. But we hope to find more people that are interested in trading their items. And as basically 1/3 of the game, you have this main fetch quest that goes throughout here. You've got the opening up of dungeons, and then you've got the dungeons themselves. So you can go back and forth with all kinds of different activities, depending on whether you get stuck in something, if you have a puzzle that you can't solve. There's probably some other part of the game that you can go and enjoy. And with how short this game is, it really is no fluff at all, going all in for the experience at all times. And we just got some very juicy beef, so I guess that's going to be our big prize here. With that, we'll head on over to Palace 1.
Have I got another quick minute or two?
Jump in.
We have a lot of really big, really welcome donations here. We have $250 from Wells, who says, good luck, have fun. We have $250 from Patches192 with no comment. We have $250 from Coach Stay, who says, I wish Dan was here. And we have $200 from Dowolf, who was just up here running Final Fantasy XIV, who says, huge thanks to the FF14 community for all your donations and to Margie for dreaming it up. That run was a blast. Lastly, we have $25 from Uranium Anchor, who says, watch out, Dan! An ungreased walrus!
Hopefully our walrus is going to cooperate today. Sometimes, and I think it was Vonnie's turn today, you have to grease the walrus or else it's going to go all catastrophically wrong. But as we head here through, you're into the very first dungeon of the game. It is pretty straightforward and linear for this, although they do get very complicated as the game goes on. This is more of your tutorial introduction about how dungeons in general work, as well as introducing some of these cool enemies here. I'm going to dump into a bit, because that's faster than killing them.
I love how the shield has a lot of utility in this game, too, along with just defense, too. Like he was using it to flip those enemies on their bellies.
Yeah, it's much more variety, I think, in terms of the item usage that you have. Even though you've got a very limited number of buttons, they can do some really cool things. Like we've got this rock feather here, which is my favorite item in the entire game. Lets you do a little tiny short hop. And obviously, if you're playing a glitch category, this now breaks the entire game.
Very, very badly, yes.
But if you're doing a glitchless category, this is going to be used throughout the entire run to do lots of cool little air maneuvers. And you'll see me do a lot of these jump slashes because you can often avoid accidental poking of enemies if you want to do a spin slash instead. A jump spin will be probably the more efficient way of doing it.
Yeah, because there's a lot of cases where if you're jumping, you can hurt enemies, but they can't hurt you.
Our quick aspect here is to just grab a couple of small keys. We need those to unlock things in dungeons. Then we got the big key, which is, in this game, only used for the boss, unlike Link to the Past, where you have to use it also for the main item of the dungeon. And as you see a lot of overlap between Link to the Past and Link's Awakening, the same team that was working on Link to the Past basically moved to this game.
Yeah.
And they had kind of tried to do a Link to the Past on the Game Boy, which just didn't work out. But this game was kind of the much enjoyed way that they leveraged a lot of that investment.
You know, I've played games before, too, where you need to get one big key in order to just access the boss.
Tell me about that.
I'm familiar with this concept.
That was a mini-boss, by the way, too.
Yeah, I'm using the bow here very early before you're really supposed to have it, and that does mean that you're going to demolish some of these mini-bosses, but the bosses, not so much. We got our very fun Moldrum friend here.
This thing looks kind of familiar.
Let's go down the pit. Let's go up the pit.
Back up, yep.
And that is not a glitch. They actually put that intentionally in the game.
Okay.
Just in case anyone was curious. The reason they did that is the original version of the game was going to soft lock if you fell down that pit and tried to jump up. So instead they put in a safety mechanism where if you jump up out of the pit, it will warp you back to the room right beforehand.
Now, what did that accomplish for you here?
It was just showing it off.
Oh, got it. The swag is what it accomplished. I see.
I wanted to tell the story about that one change because it's another thing that people ask. It's one of the very few things that comes up is, hey, this is specifically allowed for the glitchless category. And that's the reason why, is because it was an intentional change from the original Link's Awakening to DX. And now you know.
Very good.
And now you also have got our very first of our 8 instruments, which we don't really know exactly why we're collecting these, but hopefully an Al will tell us what's going to be happening.
Have I got a quick minute here?
Well, you got an Al, so you got more than a minute.
Oh, that's fantastic. I'm always happy to distract from the owl. We have $50 from Lo-Fi Ashley. Here's to Marin, the best Legend of Zelda gal to ever exist. Or not exist. Is any of this even real? Go, Dan, go.
Spoilers.
Oh, boy.
$25 each from Twink Supremacy and JBolt138. And $20.25 from Blind Umpire, who says, best of luck, Gyre. Your streams were one of the few bright spots after a family tragedy in August. You've been one of my favorite streamers since I first saw you run Virtual Highlight at AGDQ 2019. Look forward to more Final Fantasy and retro speed runs in the future, and more Dan.
Thank you very much for that, Blind Up Parent. Thank you again for everyone that is donating for this. We really appreciate all the donations going towards NAMI. And of course, we will always, at all times, engage in illegal banana smuggling whenever there's the
I was
possibility.
going to say, I just saw the bananas.
One little detail I love there is that there's a stack of bananas, and it actually takes a banana stack off when
Yes.
it gives it to you. That's permanently a change in the game now. If you go back there, the banana stack's gone. It's not going to respawn. And it's a little attention to detail that you can get away with when you have a much more kind of cohesive and tight-knit game that you can't when you've got these big, sprawling 1,000-hour adventures.
Yeah.
Other thing you get, though, is, of course, more modeling problems. There is always so many modeling problems in this village. They really should do something about that. And this time, they have crossed the line. They have kidnapped Bow Wow, who is adorable.
Oh, the chain chomp? That's
Yes.
just, like,
Can
out
you
there
believe
vibing?
that they would do that?
I am not happy.
I think we're all not happy because Bow Wow is a relentless and remorseless modeling eating machine, and I'm
Yes.
going to unleash him upon them.
You should.
They have it coming. But yeah, I just like because we've been talking about how this is kind of a more story-driven game than previous Zeldas too, and I do appreciate how kind of making progress. Because I mean, our goal is to complete 8 dungeons and get the 8 instruments of the sirens, but. Like in previous Zelda games, just getting access to more dungeons is mostly gated behind just finding utility items. But in this game, because it's more story-driven, you have to make progress in the storyline in a lot of cases in order to open up new dungeons for exploration too.
I had to grab that small heart just to say that we will never get any more small hearts. That's a complete waste of time. There's very little power scaling in this game. You have no sword upgrade unless you do a massive out-of-the-way quest. There is very, very small number of those optional hearts, which normally a lot of Zelda games, you have large numbers of those that you can collect if you want to get a little bit stronger. Not in this game. You have basically the bare starting equipment. You get nothing else throughout the entire game, and you get only 1 heart per boss.
Yeah, because like Link to the Past, I believe, gives you 20 hearts in total, and Link's Awakening, it's only 14. 'Cause, like, I'm pretty sure it's just because of the screen size being smaller from the Game Boy.
Yeah, in the modern Zeldas, you have like 1,000 hearts that goes across the screen. It takes the entire overhead HUD up. But yeah, Link's Awakening, you got very, very little to work with. But you do have Bow Wow.
Yes.
And now that we've saved Bow Wow, we need to find out, will Bow Wow eat his vegetables, or is he going to just eat all the moblins and have no room for dessert?
Speaking of, we have $100 from Code and Data. Good luck with the run, Gyre. Here's hoping Bow Wow is hungry.
Thank you very much for that, Code and Day. We will see. All right, Silver, no... Well, you need a slime, which is not as filling as Moblin, but, you know, still a bit worrying.
Do I have a brief moment for a couple more donations?
Oh, yeah,
here?
jump in and you just ate another Moblin, so you got some time while you digest.
Fantastic. I have $25 from M. Bear, who says, hello from Kalamazoo. That's a fun name. And we have $25 from Dad. Is that my dad? I think it is. I'll have to ask him about that later. $25 from Katie,
Nice.
who says, if we don't sing Baka Mitai, I will cry. Let's go, Tom.
Well, luckily, Bow Wow was super hungry, just ate all of those vegetables real fast, didn't have to wait for him at all. That's sometimes just a big RNG spot where you're waiting for him to sit there and sit there and sit there. But tonight, Bow Wow was kind, although Stalfos was a little bit rude.
Definitely.
There we go, Stalfos. Keeping my key away. Now, this is Dungeon 2, which is going to upgrade a lot of the basic mechanics that we saw before. And this is actually a really fun dungeon just because it's got most of the neat elements that this game has to offer, but in like small bite-sized packages. We'll see things like the blocks, the jumping puzzles, the underground sections. It's really kind of gearing you up for the more elaborate dungeons that are to come later on.
Shoutouts to all the dungeons having unique music in this game too, which was a first.
Yeah, the music in this game is just amazing for a Game Boy game, and it holds up really well even today.
I also like the theming for the dungeons too. Like if you actually get the dungeon map, like for this one, it's the Bottle Grotto. The dungeon is just the outside of one of the bottles that's in the dungeon, and then there's a lot of picking up bottles, and then there's the boss that we'll be seeing later.
They went beyond the theming which Zelda 1 had, which kind of had these neat little shaped maps to give you clues about things. You got that, but you also have everything in the dungeon as well, kind of fitting that theme, and often the key to the dungeon will give you a clue as well about what you're going to see inside of it. Love those magnets. Just eat all the bats. And we do not like spooky ghosts. Those will be a problem later on. As will those acorns, which carefully dodging
Nice
around. We do
dodge
not want to
there.
pick up the acorns or the pieces of power, which are normally neat little upgrade items that you grab throughout here, but they just take up a lot of time to give you a dialogue box and then have very, very little utility. Unlike this power bracelet, which we're going to use a whole bunch to pick up pots.
Yeah, and then the drops for the acorns and the pieces of power is based on enemy kills too. But it's an important fact of that, though, is that every time Gyre saves and quits, which he does quite a bit of in this run for fast travel, that resets his kill counter.
There's also a glitch if you kill 90 enemies and there's certain conditions that go on. You actually get the color dungeon tunics. Just kind of breaks the internal counter.
Yeah, this is kind of a neat puzzle where he has to... You're kind of intended to go, I believe, get one of the owl beaks to get a clue, and then you have to kill the enemies in a specific order in order to spawn the key.
Yeah, we're going to be skipping a lot of the hints and other accessories like the map and the compass, which has a new feature that'll tell you about every single time that you pick up the compass. It's very, very elaborate in explaining a lot of things in this game. I mean, there's no tutorials. Like, you have, right into things.
Shoutouts to this,
Quickly.
to this platform here, too.
I got the groaning platform.
Aww.
You could also have a bomb there. Anything that's going to weigh you down is enough to make him groan and crumble there.
Yeah,
We're
that
actually into the
platform
boss of
entertained.
Palace 2, and this is going to have a little bit of some technology involved, so I'll be trying to get a quick kill on both the two phases here. The first phase, I'm just trying to avoid the pot hitting the ground, which has an extra line of dialogue. I'll do this 3 times, so let's count out our fireballs here. Gonna get a total of 8. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And that grab there saved me like another couple of seconds. And if you're playing on French, shout out to our French restreamers, you want to hit them twice instead of 3 times. I have no idea why.
Okay.
Just a weird version difference back in the day.
I'm just now noticing, too, that this boss's eyes resemble a certain new emote we just added to our Twitch channel, too.
6, 7, 8. I was going to say, it kind of reminds me of the clowns from Lufia 2. This is a game I enjoyed watching you play over the years, Wexel.
Yep. Hey, the kill enemies in a certain order puzzle gets reused in Lufia 2, too.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And our second phase is going to have a quick kill as well, but this one's a little bit more intricate here. I'm going to use the bomb arrows.
Hopping mad.
And hit him a whole bunch of times all at once. And that was our boss for Palace 2.
Yep. Bomb arrows are a really fun thing that I forget if there's really much in the game that tells you how to do it, but it's having the bow and bombs and bomb arrows.
That was very well done. We did just get a $175 donation from Ghost Fox 007 who says, "Are you not entertained? Let's see those hands, people."
Yeah.
Let's see if Bow Wow has been eating more marbles while we've been gone, or if he's going to eat another vegetable here. Our Bow Wow.
Oh,
that was close. He was trying. Yeah, think about that. There we go. Good Bow Wow.
Hey.
So we're going to take Bow Wow home so he can go on a diet.
Yeah, much fun as it would be to take Bow Wow on further adventures, we're locked out of doing certain story events as long as we still have Bow Wow.
And of course, if you're playing with the glitch version, you can have as many adventures as you want with Bow Wow. You can actually take them all the way to the end of the game.
Oh, nice.
But we have, unfortunately, our no glitch restriction, which is going to mean that Bow Wow is, sadly, having to head home. But as we go on to the plains, which is our next new exciting area. Once you have the Power Glove, this game incredibly opens up. It has so far all been pretty linear constricted into this little starter area, but Power Glove gives you access to maybe 90% of the overall map.
Oh, wow.
And there's not really secrets in this for a lot of the locations. Like, you have overall everything kind of laid out in this book in the library. If you go down to the southwest where we met those 2 kids telling us about Bow Wow being kidnapped, you can read a book which tells you the whole world map. It has all the locations. They're all marked out. There's nothing blanked out in it. But it's still a really tough game sometimes to figure out where to go next in places.
Yeah, this originally came out in '93, which very different era as far as kind of how much hand-holding the player is given in a typical game.
And you also have some cool shortcuts to open up here. Like, I didn't find this the first time I played this game, and it saves so much time going around here, back and forth. But you don't need it. Like, it's something that you can go around a different route through here, go around to the coastal shore instead of up to this area of the plains right away, and the whole game can be still finished. Where we're going right now is going to be up to that castle there, which is currently locked. So we're going to have to find out an alternative way in. And that means
While we're circling the moat, do I...
that our illegal contact for banana smuggling is going to get us inside. Now, go ahead, Shadowline.
Thank you very much. We have $10 from BD Jeffy P, who says, just a reminder, while Dan may be called Thief by the inhabitants of Koholint Island now, the file select screen remembers Dan's name. It will always remember. We also have $100 from DRK BEF, who says, greetings from the Melmond Tourism Board. We've just set up office on lovely Koholint Island and have a fresh stack of filled complaint forms ready for the undead chicken cage.
Oh, there will be complaints when we get to the frog song, don't worry.
Lastly, we have $200 from Taven, who says, thanks for another amazing event, and to all the runners and production and support. And thank you to Nami for doing such important work.
So like I said earlier, getting access to dungeons often in this game often requires doing a little more than just having like the power bracelet or the Rock's Feather or something. Oftentimes you need to kind of engage with the storyline too. And in this case, we need to kind of help out a guy, I believe Richard, I think his name is.
I mean, I have no idea. We're just collecting gold leaves because it sounds like a fun thing to do.
Yeah, who if we went and talked to him, he'd tell us that he basically would tell us to go get him some golden leaves. So of course we're going to do that, no questions asked. And that's going to be that's just a short quest that will eventually give us the key that we need to get into the third dungeon.
And I just open up the front door of the castle so we don't have to go back out through that secret passageway a second time. That'll save us a lot for walking around here. There's our third golden leaf. You can probably guess where our fourth golden leaf is going to come from here. That guy over there, I think is supposed to be the ball and chain guard from Link to the Past at the start. It's not totally clear. It looks more like a ninja to me. But, you know, it's a Game Boy. They're kind of trying to do their best with their limited resources. It often means that you have a little bit of interpretation required to figure out what's going on with the graphics.
Yeah, and I know how you feel about ninjas.
Let's get them.
Yeah, got kind of a fun little time saver right here too.
It saves like a fraction of a second. I'm falling down the pit at the same time as holding up the leaf, so...
Oh, nice.
It's swag though.
Yeah, it's the only time in the entire run that you'll do that. There are no leaves up there, and unfortunately, there is no way down from the top of the castle. That's something that they added into the Switch remake of this game, which came out a couple of years ago. Lots of quality of improvements, as well as one really big change overall, which is that it's a much more seamless world. You can kind of go without all these little screen-scrolling transitions, and it means you can also see things that are nearby. It's a really cool version if you ever want to try and play it for the Switch out there, or play the original version. This has got such lovely, wonderful things. Okay, there's no piece of power there. I was really worried about that for a second. We just got our fifth golden leaf at last. Now we can talk to Richard, who we have no idea who that is, but we're going to find out. And Richard's got some really weird things about him. Now, Vani, I invited you on mostly because of your vast Utopia experience, but
Naturally.
in terms of Link's Awakening, how much do you actually know about this game?
Very, very little.
I am glad that you're going to get to enjoy some wonderful things later on.
I'm having a great time so far.
We're going to try not to spoil you too much, but still get the storyline of the game so that everyone can follow along at home and
Okay.
enjoy what's happening here. So,
Excellent.
I have no idea where it's just got all these frogs, but actually I do know. There's kind of a little Easter egg with a Japanese game that the composer of this game did that had a lot of frogs in it. And
Okay.
there's some little things snuck in as a result all throughout Link's Awakening in reference to it.
I always like those cute little touches that the developers put into those games that are very much meant for the fans, meant for those who have a deeper knowledge of what they're doing, as kind of like a sign of appreciation. So shout outs to all the devs that do that.
Yeah, it's really nice when you get to hear stuff like Totaka songs in Nintendo games.
Yeah.
It's so many really cute, charming touches like that.
Yeah.
All right, well, Richard has graciously allowed us to mow his lawn, which is a really long place that you have to go all the way around this giant thing. There's pits all over the place, but I'm going to take a little shortcut here by jumping over that pit, and we're already done with it. So that's a nice little shortcut if you ever go through and play this game. There's lots of other shortcuts as well that you can take there, but that's the most efficient way of getting here and getting the slime key picked up. That's going to be what we need to get into our next dungeon here.
A slime key draws near. Yeah, a change from earlier Zeldas I find a little interesting too is that enemies only drop single rupees too. I'm almost positive that's just because the first version of this game was black and white Game Boy, and the way they normally delineate rupees is by color. So that's a big part of why stealing from the shop saves so much time, because the main way you get large amounts of money in this game is just chests that have it.
Yeah, but there's actually a glitch to get 2 rupees at a time, which is a massive improvement over 1 rupee per drop. But the bow costs 980, the shovel's 200. There's other things that you can buy in here if you really want to get everything the shop has to offer. It would take forever, and unless you're opening up those boxes, you're going to have a really hard time getting the money that you need. Let's see how we do here in Palace number 3, which is the Slime Palace, which we will find out what that is a reference to. Please. There we go. Just trying to avoid taking too much damage here. We need to feed some Dodongo's bombs. And if you've ever seen a Dodongo before, you have not seen Dodongos. Because these Dodongos, things have happened to them. It's one of the few changes for this game art-wise that I really can't get behind versus the original Legend of Zelda, which had these adorable dinosaur Dodongos. Everybody loved those. You feed them bombs. They explode. They make goofy faces. These are monstrosities. Also, we should have an acorn here coming up pretty soon. There it is. I can kind of guess when the acorn is, even if I'm not really keeping total track of it, just because it's going to be in the ballpark every time you play through here with relatively consistent number of enemy kills.
I was going to ask you about that, if there's any way to kind of manipulate enemy drops or to even predict them, but it sounds like there is.
Yeah, it's a counter for the acorns and for the pieces of power, but the things like rupees and hearts are not manipulatable.
Got it.
All right, Dodongos are not wanting to eat their bombs.
Wait, these are Dodongos?
Now you know why I'm so angry.
I'm with you.
Dodongo, eat your bomb. There you go. It is a monstrosity.
Yes.
Like,
No question about it.
I mean, when these games about nightmares, I think that's what specifically they are referring to.
I know if I played this game as a kid and I saw that, I would have nightmares.
Just got our Pegasus boots here, which, if you remember these from Link to the Past, they are amazingly useful. In this game, you actually have a little bit more mobility as well while you were charging up the boots, so you can kind of do a little bit of side hopping and maneuvering, which I'll use pretty frequently throughout here. But as with any speedrun, you can imagine, item that makes you go faster, you're going to use it a whole lot.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, and the fact that you have a lot more choice, you can equip 2 items at once in this game, unlike Link to the Past, just gives you a lot of fun combinations. Because like the boots and the feather let you jump farther than we already saw the bomb arrows.
Killing bombs with bombs drops bombs. It's the circle of bombs.
And some of these walls, Jaire's using bomb arrows on just because then he doesn't have to wait for the bomb to count down and explode too, and saves a little time. He does have to watch his arrow supply pretty closely at this point, though, because the game doesn't expect you to have the bow for quite a while, so there aren't really convenient ways to get more arrows at this point outside of going to the shop.
And right now, the shopkeeper does not exactly like us all that much, so we're going to stay out of that place.
Yeah.
But we have done all the little side quests. This is a little bit of a different design for dungeon. It's many small pieces. It's not really linear. And once you have enough keys, you can go around this big loop in the center.
Yeah, because this is the key cavern, so the theme is keys.
Yes.
Like, there's way, way more locked stuff in this dungeon than most others. And
Also, that guy's adorable.
another great face there. Just such a charming game in so many ways.
A little quick fall down the ladder. 1 frame tap to get jumping off the ladder, kind of like Mega Man style.
Oh, got it.
And we'll head on to our boss here, Palace 3, which first got to find where the boss is.
Neener, neener.
Turns out he's up there. So we dropped him down off the ceiling. Gonna split him into pieces. Let's see if the pieces cooperate. Eh, not really.
Yeah. Ideally, they get close together so that you can hit both at the same time with the spin slash.
There we go. They need a little bit of finagling. It was almost a good boss pattern for it. There's a bit of RNG in some of these, and then some of the bosses, there's a lot of RNG.
Yeah. I'm glad you were able to beat that so easily, because I have also dealt with a big blue slime boss that likes to split into other pieces, which can be extremely trolling. So the fact that you made quick work of that is I was starting to have flashbacks.
I mean, the bosses in this game are actually really tough for the most part. Like, it is, because you got such low resources,
Oh, okay.
a difficult game for getting started into it for a lot of players. Like, there's not a lot of resources even that you can bring in later on. And so if you are having difficulty with the boss, there is typically a shortcut that opens up when you kill the mini-boss. Unless you warp back there, it gives you opportunities to get back to the boss a little bit faster. And that owl told us to do some things, which of course we're going to ignore all the owls. They are definitely all liars. And so we're going to do what we do best, and that is, of course, get bees. Why don't we take some bees?
Thief, by the way, yes. That is the consequence for stealing from the shop, by the way, even is that all dialogue refers to Link as thief.
Oh,
Yeah. That is a very unreasonable number of bees, by the way, too.
And now, those bees are ours. We still don't know how that happened. But with my newfound bees, I'm going to go and head over to the second village of the game. This is a very small game in terms of locations overall, but it has, of course, things really densely packed wherever you go. There's probably something relevant to your storyline going on. This also lets us explore over to the eastern side of the map, which we have mostly been so far into the western half of the world. We can see if the cucumbers are angry today. Yeah, no angry cucumbers. There's our animal village, which is the corresponding second village of this world here. See that it's populated entirely by animal characters and this lovely bear who has a interest in bees, which we'll trade our bees now for a pineapple. And I'm actually going to not do any more of the main story quest for the entire rest of the game because this is the last quest trigger that I actually need to finish. But if you go all the way through, there's a big bonus in that you get this item called the boomerang, which, unlike the boomerang in early Zelda games, one-shots like everything, including the final boss. So it's an incredibly powerful item, but it takes a while to go through that quest, so unless you're playing 100%, it doesn't really make sense to get in a speedrun.
You're also intended to keep doing this in order to actually be able to get to the final boss, too, but just thanks to some very nice knowledge about something we'll get into later on, it's not expressly required. That was a fast travel point, by the way, too. Like, I know the Switch version adds way, way more of them, but in the original and the DX version of Link's Awakening, there's only like 4 or 5 or so of just fast travel points that become a loop that you go through.
Yeah, we'll go around 3 points, one for our starter village, one for the animal village, and one from up in the north. And they go in a cycle like Plex mentioned, which means it's just like Draken or Virtual Highlight for how the fast travel system works. So you can tell it's a quality experience.
Nice acorn dodge there. Again, the reason we're skipping all acorns and pieces of power is that they produce extra dialogue that wastes time, and worse yet, they change the music.
I mean, the music in this game is so good. You got to enjoy it. And we will, on our new ocarina that we just got, we will probably learn to play some songs at some point. But before that, we got a little mission to go off and do. We got to go and relax on the beach for a bit. And this is where kind of the storyline kind of really starts taking off with the more emotional side of things. We're going to meet up with Marin here, who has been not really interacting with much so far, but is one of the really fun characters of Link's Awakening.
Yeah, since we didn't watch the intro, I mean, yeah, Link shipwrecked when he was off training, and then Marin found him on the beach of Koholint Island and nursed him back to health. Is kind of what happened before we started the run.
Have I got a quick minute here?
Why don't we do it after we get our little cutscene here with Marin? Because this is
Gotcha.
one of the most impressive things.
This is something I want
the Game Boy.
Vonnie to see Vonnie's reaction to, too.
okay.
This is the original black and white Game Boy that's doing this.
Okay.
All we got is color for this edition, but this entire thing. Remember those Game Boy games with Tetris, one screen?
Oh, yes. of
Super
course.
Mario Land?
Yeah.
They did this. And this is what really showed off the Game Boy's power.
Yeah. This looks fantastic in color.
Yeah, because this was more or less, I think, a launch game for the Game Boy Color when that came out.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was basically their pitch to sell color to the handheld market. And the color dungeon, which we're going to be doing at the end, has an extra security check to make certain that you do actually have a Game Boy Color and you're not just trying to fake it.
And she's still calling you thief.
And we put all this money towards naming him Dan.
Well, now, Marin's been acquired.
Yep.
They need to literally put some respect on his name.
Yes. But yeah, that is a pretty touching cutscene, by the way, though, that we were talking over. That basically, Marin kind of confides in us that she has a dream too, and her dream is to kind of to see other worlds outside of this island that she's lived on her whole life.
This is also, we're going to find out whether or not Vonnie has correctly oiled the walrus. We gave you one job, Vonnie.
Yes.
Did you do it?
The instructions were unclear, so I'm going to go with yes.
Well, we're going to find out.
Okay.
Sometimes the walrus stays normal. Sometimes it makes a horrible grinding sound.
Oh, no.
Vonnie, you're fired.
I'm so sorry.
We're going to throw this walrus out.
Okay.
An Easter egg I love, by the way, too, is that if you come back here and play the Ballad of the Windfish, which is the song Marin just sang to wake up the walrus, you see the walrus poke its head out of the water and a little thought bubble above it that has Marin's face on it, too. That's such an awesome Easter egg.
Like, I remember you.
Well, it's not a walrus, but I do have a $40 donation from a Yeti.
Okay.
I also have $25 from Media Meltdown, who says, so excited to catch this run live. Thanks for the great commentary and the great Friday night vibes.
Yep. Nice.
Well, you just missed the land mollusk fight, and the very key thing there was make sure that key did not fall down the hole.
Mm-hmm.
If it does, I have to go all the way in the desert because I lose my save and quit point here, which is currently right next to our teleporter. That's very convenient, but if it's near the desert, there is not only like 7 screens, but there's also more owls.
Oh, no.
lovely.
Yeah, because I believe your save and quit point gets refreshed every time you enter the overworld from an interior area.
Yeah, basically it's the exit transition that saves it. And here we are up to Tracy's house to go grab a potion. Tracy sells bottled fairy juice, which is basically fairies ground up into juice that we can then drink.
That's not weird at all.
I know a side benefit of getting that skip with the land molas too is that we end up spending less money on the juice too. Like, what were the mechanics for it again, as far as the price?
Basically, there's an even versus an odd mechanic for whether it's 28 or 42 rupees. By doing that fast kill and land moles, it'll be always 28 every time, I can guarantee that. But if you're going back to the desert, you might kill things that'll sometimes bump up to 42, which then you're really, really tight on money. I picked up an extra chest just to be totally marathon safe here. But you would be potentially not able to get the frog song, which would be devastating.
Yeah.
Do another quick checkpoint here to get our save and quit point set up here up on Taldale Heights, which is a fabulous song. We'll hear a lot more of this later on. We'll be up to that mountain a lot.
I appreciated this being included in the hurdle game that our content team put on earlier in the week.
Poplins, please.
Yeah, for routing this too, there's often some very interesting choices you have to make about when it's worth opening your menu to change stuff around. Because you could have jumped over those moblins, but that would have just been more menuing to equip the Rock's Feather to do it.
That's Palace 4. It's the best palace opening in the game. Do not deny it, Bonnie.
Okay, I'm on it.
We will quiz you on this later.
Okay. Very good.
Yeah, so just another story bit we had to go through with kind of progressing the trading quest and recruiting Marin to let us into the desert in order to get the angler's key that we need in order to get into the angler tunnel.
They might have seen Papoy when we turned the ribbon in. Papoy's out here having a picnic lunch up there. He's doing great. We do not need to rescue him. Everybody wait to Papoy.
I meant to ask you about that ribbon. Was that the one that was incentivized?
That was.
Okay. Okay, good.
All right, start up to Palace 4 here. This is the start of a very tough sequence of jumps. And this is the one that I'm most worried about in Palace 4 here because playing on a different monitor with different capture setups, this is the one that has the most tricky stuff for actual visual cues of it. So I'm hoping this one goes well.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Jair is basically going to be just skipping a very large part of this dungeon and a lot of keys and fetching and stuff like that. And I mean, it's allowed in Glitchless because it's just jumping it through in a very, very precise way. Like, there's a lot more stuff that can be skipped through going out of bounds, like kind of clipping and seams around the tile set in the game. But since this one is just a really, really tight jump, it's allowed under the rule set. And Probably for the worst, too, as far as the runner experience.
Yeah, we'll have a couple more jumps in Palace 5 as well, but this is the one that's the most precise overall. So I'll grab my key here and get the extra hearts just in case we need that half heart there.
I believe water having multiple depths is new to this game, too.
Yeah, it's something that you have with the flippers to add in there.
Okay.
Ooh, that was close. That one was not close. Like I said, there's a bit of a difference in the visual cue for it, depending on what I have.
Hey, nice.
All right, stressful part of Palace 4 is over, but we still have some other things to do, including our mini-boss here. We're going to see him again later on in Palace 8 as well, with a couple of environmental changes. He'll be slightly more on fire at that point. Get back here, you.
Yeah, he does not want to lose control of this mini-boss, or its much nastier cousin we'll be fighting later.
He likes to just kind of slam into walls repeatedly, and you don't have a lot of control on him once it gets out of hand. It can get out of hand in a bad way. But we're not going to finish Palace 4 right now. I'm just going to grab the flippers and leave, because if you finish Palace 4, then you get hunted by a very spooky ghost who does not go away and is very, very annoying for like 6 minutes. So you definitely do not want to finish this palace right now. But we'll come back to it later. You do have to beat all the palaces by the end of the game. And when we get closer, we'll talk more about how we can avoid that spooky ghost.
Yeah, glitch categories have some pretty silly ways of skipping that quest too, but for Glitchless, it's just putting off finishing that dungeon until basically we the very end of the run, and for all.
Which actually works in the Switch version as well, so clearly not a glitch. So another little touching scene here with Marin. We get to enjoy our ocarina. Just don't look at the bird. We don't know what's wrong with that bird. Stop making eye contact. It angers it.
Nice little jam session there.
that was done on the Game Boy. That kind of cute little duet.
Yeah.
And you, a sense that Marin is really, really yearning for more here with how she has so many connections to you over the course of this game here.
Just kind of how wistful her song called "The Ballad of the Windfish" is too.
We'll definitely be hearing more of that later on, but we have to go over to Palace 5 right now. And like before, this mermaid does not need any assistance whatsoever. She is doing totally fine. So we will simply not talk to her.
Yeah, she's a future part of the trading sequence that we will be leaving to fend for themselves. Get some booskaboo honking action there.
I've got my Annoyatron going. And once we're starting into Palace 5 here, this is when the difficulty of the palaces really starts increasing. Both the combat as well as the puzzles get more and more challenging. And probably the first part where, for casual game players, you're starting getting a little bit worried about getting stuck in things.
Such a catchy beat for this dungeon.
That Game Boy bass line really does put in work.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I mean, so much of this music just is so memorable over the years. Just got a key out the left-hand side, which lets me get into the center part of the dungeon here. And this is where we meet our mini-boss, who is the most annoying mini-boss in this entire game. Because we're going to be seeing this guy a lot.
Yeah, because this mini-boss kind of wised up to how Zelda games work and got to the dungeon item chest before we did here. This is also where arrow management is particularly important too, just because, again, Jair isn't really able to conveniently restock on arrows at this point.
In fact, for marathon safety, I'm actually going to use one less arrow than I normally do, just to have extras in spare. That way I really don't have to worry about it. Yeah, he stole our hook shot, and now we have to go get it back. And
Yeah, because I believe if you opened that last chest that Jair just walked by, you'd get kind of a nasty gram from the Stelphos King that we just fought.
And his trick is that he's got 4 arenas. You have to find them in order. There's no hints on your map or anything. You just have to know that these blocks in the corner means that this is arena number 2. And it just keeps going on for a while.
Yeah. A very minor difference is, though, is the amount of health that the mini-boss has, because for our first and fourth encounters with him, it takes 3 bombs, and then the second and third, it's 2.
Yep, and the Swiss version that changed it to always take 3, so it made it even more annoying.
Fantastic. But as far as like his behavior or his pattern or whatnot,
You'll see pretty much the same thing,
the
probably
same
do it for all of them.
yeah. So it just gets really tedious.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Slime, please. Get back over here, Slime.
But I do like that, just again from kind of a story perspective too. That in this dungeon you kind of have a rival that's just trying to ruin your day.
He also has a lot of chatty dialogue, so I'm doing these quick kills as well to prevent him from talking a whole bunch during the fights.
Oh yeah.
Now, normally you'd be done with this part of the dungeon. You have to come back later on once you get the hook shot, but we're going to use another one of those really massive jumps. And this one looks completely impossible. It is the second toughest jump of the game. We'll use that to get the hook shot a little bit early. So we're going to cross that.
That's a long jump.
And that's how you do it.
Hey!
So we'll have our big key there. Again, normally you're supposed to have the hook shot, grab that platform to go across there to
Yeah.
be able to snap onto that. But with a really massive size jump, you can get across there a little bit early. And it just saves a whole bunch of dungeon traversal time.
I love the. I don't think you actually do it in the run, but I love how you can interact with these Helmosaurs once you have the hook shot too, where you steal their helmets.
Assuming he turns around. He was so well behaved the first time. I didn't mention that there is a mechanic there where you can only hit them from the back. And sometimes it's pretty unclear what the back is because it'll just disagree with you. But once you have the hook shot, you can pull the shield off of them and they're all very, very scared. But remember this area back here? Well, to the left of it was the last one of these, and you probably forgot about this if you were playing the game.
Yeah, because you
and got
kind of
lost for a
stumble.
very long
Because you
time.
kind of stumble in this arena pretty fast.
Now, if you were to walk in here without having done the first 3,
No
nothing
indication at all.
happens.
Yep.
Okay.
You've not even met this guy before,
Yeah.
so you have no idea what these blocks mean.
why
All
there-
of it is
Or
kind
why
of
there's a
secret.
skull in the middle. Yeah.
Right.
So he's a snarky skeleton guy with a sword and shield who steals your moves. Is he not just Taskmaster?
Also be kind of careful with the save and quits there. There are places where, especially if you save and quit too quickly after doing an action, it'll forget that you did the action and you lose that progress. So that's one area in particular where right after grabbing that hook shot, it happens a lot. So you got 200 rupees there.
Yep.
The Switch version only 100, which is a big downgrade because this is enough to now get the Frog Song at 300 rupees.
Yep.
Which means that we're totally good for money in this run. And we're going to be heading to the boss because we already have our big key.
Oh my God, cheaps, really.
They're adorable. Yeah, you got all kinds of references to Mario.
I've noticed that a
You-
lot of them
you-
have been in the 2D versions.
You've also got a Kirby in Palace 7, who unfortunately we're not going to see. They just kind of put in lots of little Easter eggs for their characters. It was kind of lost. All right, third toughest jump here coming up. This is the last of the really tough jumps. Another one where I have to go around a corner. But that
Oh,
one was
nice.
not too bad. Can also do that on the left-hand side, get up there with one less block of basically jump to spare on it, but that's the more safe route up the right-hand side. And this is the first of the bigger RNG bosses, and you'll probably figure out the mechanic without me having to explain it to you at all. Let's see if you can guess what it is, Bonnie.
Is you trying to get him to hit himself? Like,
Not quite.
oh, I see. Okay.
But we're going to have to hope that the RNG boss cooperates with us. I don't know if I can get him with the arm in the way there. The arm is more of an annoyance than anything else. If you're staying in the corner, it's not going to hit you. But does potentially block your boss access there. And very good, we got it in 2 cycles.
Nice.
If you have more cycles, he'll start throwing fake versions of himself out of those. It just gives you bombs instead, and it's supposed to be 50-50 whether you get a bomb or a real one. I get it 95% of the time bombs every time I try this. The first time I played it, I thought it was just you had to game over. There was no way to do it because I got 13 of them in a row.
Wow.
But evidently it's 50-50,
Nice.
allegedly.
Yeah.
There's instrument number 5.
You know, and I've noticed with the different instruments, it plays a little something when you pick them up, but the sound fonts, they try to kind of simulate what that instrument is, which obviously on a Game Boy, you don't have a whole lot to choose from, but they've been doing a pretty good job as far as I can tell so far.
Yep, we're going to get 8 separate instruments throughout the course of this game. They all have their own little unique flavor, and it integrates really well in a lot of the music that comes up.
Yeah.
Especially in the more orchestral versions that if you have like the Switch version or if you get like soundtracks of this game, it has so much detail into how the spirit of these work together.
Yeah, absolutely. My favorite track from the Switch version is the arranged 6th dungeon theme. It's incredible what they do with that.
Well, speaking of dungeon number 6, we got to go unlock that now, which is going to be the hardest of the dungeon side quests. Also, this guy sometimes throws bombs in the middle of the cutscene because he's really rude. Not today, bomb thrower. For whatever reason, he's unlocked from the cutscene a little bit earlier than you are, so you're just standing there in place. And sometimes there's a bomb. But over here, we're going to go over and visit the Armless Knights, which is an enemy that we haven't seen here so far, and they've got a cool mechanic with our shield, which does all this neat stuff. You can bump the real ones. So I can use this to have a little pacifist route through here instead of having to fight through all these guys. Do that. And I like these little touches. They're like, you could have just had this be like Zelda 1, where you had a relatively difficult enemy that you're fighting in here, but they gave them their own unique character and stuff. Ooh.
Aww.
Our first acorning. Tragic.
Thanks to their Armos Ricochet.
And of course, it'll last until you leave it into there. So,
Okay.
would have been great for this boss, which is the toughest of the bosses. Hopefully, this goes well. Okay, there we go.
Nice.
I could be relieved. He gets faster as you hit him. He does 2 hearts of damage, and just like the boss of Palace 3, that jump attack will glitch out your boots in a bad way. Like, it'll basically prevent you from doing boots charges normally. It's definitely not supposed to happen, but it will be a very, very bad thing if it does.
Yeah. And then if you once you have, I mean, you only have to get the key here, but you can go up to the northern part of that room too, where you actually get some fairly heavy story exposition too, where you actually find a dark little secret of Coalent Island, which is that it's actually the dream of the windfish, which is the creature you're trying to wake up with the instruments, and it just leaves you at this kind of uneasy place where you don't really know what's going to happen when you wake the windfish and end the dream, and if that's going to mean bad things for you or not.
Yeah, a lot of the bosses are going to now start being a lot more explicit about things going on this island, so the mystery is starting to get revealed over time. All right, Bomb Thrower, if you could just stop doing that, maybe. Oh, wait. It's fine.
And Stolteheim was just talking about liking the Dungeon 6 music. I'm a big fan of it too, in particular because it is this very spooky vibe to it, and the fact that it kind of comes at an appropriate point in the story, I think, is perfect.
Yeah, Dungeon 6 is actually my favorite dungeon of the game, even though it's got the whiz robes, which is normally something that everyone hates in Zelda games.
Yeah.
But the design of it's just so good.
Yeah, they're especially nasty in this game because of how limited you are able to hurt them.
Yeah, we all saw the trouble I had with my legally distinct Wizrobe last time.
But the rest of the place is so good. So hopefully you all enjoy Palace 6. Rock out to the music here a bit.
That sounds so good through our sound mixer.
That's another spot where I can use an arrow to get the bomb slightly faster if I really want to. But again, we're being very, very cautious with arrows because that's a incredibly precious resources in this game, not just now, but also at the very, very end for the final boss.
Yeah, fun little thing too is if you jump on Goombas, they're guaranteed to drop hearts.
Yeah, it's a neat little Easter egg for if you need some health in a hurry. All right, our first Wizrobe encounter here coming up. And done.
Nice. Yeah, bombs are the most effective way to dispose of Wizrobes.
Now we got the Superpower Glove. To lift whales, or in this case, elephants. I'm pretty sure they meant elephants there because they've got these elephant statues. Like, it would have been so much easier with that.
There's a really, really nice added bonus, too, of canceling out some dialogue we normally get if we bump into something we can lift with the power bracelet, too.
Oh yeah, one of the things is if you do any interactions with an item, whether it's a pickable item or a chargeable item, it'll always give you a tutorial, even if you've had this thing for, like, hours at that point. But now we can pick up pots and touch them without having to worry about it happening, which is such a relief. Lots of little small navigation things that you have to do to just make sure that you're not going to bump into something that will give you a 6-second tutorial every single time.
Oh boy.
After there's the chess puzzle. We will talk about the chess puzzle later.
Hopefully not for very long, too.
No promises.
It's a nice cool, because you can't actually hurt Wizrobes with your sword, but you can knock them into bomb explosions with your sword.
All right, so we've done the left-hand side there. We got our key out of there. We got the Superpower Glove. Now we can do the right-hand side, which is going to be where we get the tile rooms. And if you played with the past, these are so much better than the tile rooms there. Look, you can break the things.
There's a lot less of them, too, and they load faster.
Everything goes so much faster. This, again, was kind of made by the team that did Link to the Past as kind of their follow-up, and they learned a bunch of things, especially tile rooms and also ice physics, which is another thing that Link to the Past has some issues with. But here, let's play some ball. Guy reminds me of a character like Euphoria.
I love the noise it makes when it grabs the ball, too.
Give the ball back. All right, ball's been played.
Nice.
And I'm just waiting here to make sure the checkpoint spawns. Otherwise, the checkpoint disappears.
Oh.
And you have to fight the mini-boss again.
Yeah, like, if I fell down before picking up the heart after Mulderm, I'd have to do the whole fight over again.
Oh, nice.
Everything resets, except for something in Palace 7 that we'll talk about when we get there.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
Oh, you can open a locked door with a key. Wow.
Good thing it told us.
Yes.
Yeah, right? Wonder what else I was going to do with it.
Hopefully find out one day what the compass does. But tragically, we may never know. Just a little acrobatics here with the ladders. A lot of things are done exactly once in the game, and you never see that mechanic over again, which is neat for the perspective of like you're always getting fresh stuff, but it's kind of tricky in places because you've got no frame of reference for how these things are supposed to work.
Yeah.
Luckily, tile rooms you get a lot of practice on. Yeah, we can do a chess puzzle, which is pure RNG. Let's see. One. The second try, that's
Nice.
really good.
Yeah.
On average, it's going to be 4 tries. It's just pure 50-50 for both heads. You do not get to do them consecutively, so if the first one fails, you still have to roll them twice and then reset it again.
What were you trying to do there? What did you need to do there?
You just have to have them flip heads up both times.
Oh, it just land. Oh, okay.
Yep, so you need to win 2 coin tosses in a row, basically. And if the first one, if you lose the first one, you still have to do the second one before it'll reset, too.
I know my son, you know that bottle flip trick thing that you can do? My son loves to do that and gets all hyped when he gets it. It kind of reminds me of that.
A reminder, these are Dodonkos, by the way, too.
Yeah, I was trying to forget Puexel. Thanks.
And sometimes they do not want to eat their bombs. I just have to damage boost into them to get the bombs inside the mouth, and sometimes they will still not even eat them.
Oh.
On the Switch version, there's an animation that plays if you mistimed it in that case, but the Game Boy version doesn't have that help. It just doesn't tell you why the Dodongo refused to eat it.
Oh.
And you have to kind of figure it out on your own for how it's feeling. Also the only time that you do this. And open a box by smashing it.
Oh, nice.
All right, there's our first loop around done. Now we got our second loop around here. And we are very nearly done with Palace 6. So I gotta say, the boss of Palace 6 also probably my favorite of the Palace bosses.
Yeah, sadly, we're not going to be seeing some of its more interesting mechanics.
Why, because you're going to be trashing it too quickly?
Yeah, there's a quick kill on it that is really, really fun. Say goodbye to the wizard robe, and hello to the face.
Facade, I believe, is what it's called.
So getting those 3 bombs in before he starts talking basically skips the 3 cycles at the end of the fight. And you would normally see a whole bunch, but he's throwing the tiles, he's throwing the pots, he's throwing the floor at you, like everything starts going haywire in this place, but he's done.
Nice.
Yep.
And he leaves in a very ominous message that if we wake the windfish, everything's gonna disappear.
Damn.
Including this lovely triangle.
Yep. I think for this dungeon, the theming more ties into the map and then the boss, kind of, too, more than the dungeon mechanics, because it's the face shrine.
Yeah, if you look really closely, the key that I got to open up had a little tiny cute face on
I
it.
noticed that. I was making a comment. I saw it was a
Yeah.
fake tea. I was like, oh, well, there's my explanation.
Something called from the mountain. Well, something is going to be calling very, very soon here called the Frog Song.
Oh, boy.
But we got a little bit of time, so if you have any last-minute preparations that you would like to get done before the Frog Song, you should go ahead and start doing those now.
Do you have any suggestions?
Invest in a better speaker system.
Got it,
'Cause
okay.
we need to hear the frog song through the best of modern technology.
Okay.
A $50 anonymous donation to hype us up for the frog song.
I assure you I cannot be any more hyped for the Frog Song.
I am cautiously excited.
You're just lucky that we're not playing it on the Japanese version. The Frog Song is way more intense on that one.
Intense is an interesting word.
Some have survived it.
And Dan will be our guinea pig. But yeah, we got the ocarina a while back, and we learned the Ballad of the Windfish from Marin. But there's actually 2 other ocarina songs. And then this is the only other one we'll be getting. There's a 3rd one called Mambo's Mambo, I think, which has a really, really fun cutscene for learning it, where you see some fish jamming out, but it's not required, so we're skipping it.
And so we're going to be touching all of these signs. And yes, there's a lot of signs. And if you touch anyone when you're not supposed to, you got to start from the very beginning and do them all over again.
What?
Everyone. And we're halfway done. Like, there's so many signs left. On the Switch version, they added another sign. I didn't think that was possible for the Switch.
So what is supposed to be the indication of the order that you do these?
These arrows are pointing vaguely in the direction, and you have to figure out which one on the screen over there that you have to get.
And you have to remember them through screen transitions, too.
Oh, my goodness.
But finally, we did it. Our reward is this way.
Oh, and is it ever a reward?
Yo, that's warts.
Yep.
It is time
All right.
for the jam session.
Yep. I think we need serious time for this, too. Feast your ears.
It's not better the second time.
Oh, there's another verse? Oh.
Now imagine the Japanese version doing this while intensely flashing.
Oh, no.
And that was the frog song.
Yep.
It sure was.
Very, very moving.
That should encourage everyone to set the frog song for their ringtone.
Oh, my. That should be like your alarm when you wake up in the morning. Put it across the room and you go flying out of bed to go get it.
And if you either scroll off the screen or leave Wart's room before learning the frog song, get to do the signs again.
Oh,
too.
nice.
Yep.
Luckily, we did not have to do the signs again, and instead we get to a very, very different kind of spooky ghost. We saw the spooky ghost in Palace 2. We were afraid of spooky ghost in Palace 4.
Yep.
But here, thanks to the power of the frog song,
Yes, which can wake up anything. As having heard it now, I'm sure everyone can believe that too, including the dead.
That's why I said, put it on your alarm.
it's very spooky. It's very ghostly. It's some kind of chicken. But Bonnie, what you were not prepared for
Okay.
is how blue it is.
That's a blue chicken. Oh, it's a rooster?
He's very friendly.
Okay. And he's also tagging along, it seems.
We have a new friend.
All right.
Boy, can our rooster jump too.
And I might think we've done the first 6 palaces. We're going to Palace 7 here next. But no, we're going to go to Palace 8 instead.
Very
and
good.
the reason is because, unlike Vonnie, I can get the fire rod.
I thought I was done with this. God, man.
There's one other thing you're not done with, Vonnie, if I have a minute.
Go right ahead. We got some time.
We have a $100 donation from JB31842. Link, it is I, Sahasrara the Elder. I am communicating to you across the void through telepathy from a mysterious land called Newtopia. It is strange and yet somehow familiar. Link, as I make my way back home, you must never fail to collect rupees for Nami.
Thank you very much, JB31842.
Thank you, JB.
Yeah. So people familiar with this game too also might be wondering how exactly we're going to be going to Dungeon 8 before Dungeon 7, because the way what's supposed to make you do the dungeons in order is there's a fire hydrant that shoots fire instead of water, basically. And you're supposed to have the mirrored shield, which is the treasure from Dungeon 7 to block those fireballs. But we have another way to get past that.
And yes, it is glitchless. There's many glitch ways of doing it. You can wrong warp to the dungeon. You could skip the dungeon entirely. You can walk through walls. But no, we are going to do it without a glitch.
I'm guessing you're just going to have your rooster just take the fire damage instead.
I mean, we're going to take a rooster ride here, which is a very fun one. Because we need to get the bird key while we're in the neighborhood. It unlocks birds.
What else would it do?
Well, my opinions on birds are well documented.
I can't see chat, but I'm hoping there's a whole bunch of RPG jerk birds in there right now.
There's also supposed to be a cutscene with Marin there if you've progressed a little bit further into the storyline. But because she's not up there. Just pointing that out in case anyone's wondering where Marin is. Don't worry, she's doing fine. Like my boy.
I'm sure the jerk birds will be coming in chat in just a moment. Right now, they're riffing on my pronunciation of Sahasrara. Oh, there they are.
Hey, thank you, chat. Telltale Heights music, so good.
Keep doing heart drops. I'm trying to take damage. Luckily, should be good regardless. Just be a little bit slower. Because that potion I picked up like half an hour ago. While you're drinking it, you've got a lot of iframes.
Okay.
So if I'm on fire, but I'm drinking a potion, I can just run right through.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, just because you can select different songs in your ocarina, that can cause some issues with menuing too. So Jair is kind of trying to get the ocarina in a more out-of-the-way place of his inventory.
Sometimes it's successful, sometimes not. Depends on where the ocarina wants to go.
Yep. So remember, the frog song can wake things up. Well, we're waking up our next dungeon.
This is Total Rock here. And when he goes to stretch his head out, I'm just going to run right underneath and not fun.
Yep. Optional mini boss because they kind of neglect to like disable the door until you've killed the mini boss or something.
Reminds me of the first boss in Star Tropics where you basically just jump
yep.
over him. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you do it again in Star Tropics
I
too.
know,
with
like
different
how is this
means.
even possible? You had one job and you couldn't fix it.
So yeah, we're going to be seeing a lot of arrows and bomb arrows here, because now we are very much into the parts of the game where you're expected to have the bow.
$25 from Diana Fire. I had to donate a bit to acknowledge Gyre's fire rod burn. GL on the rest of the run.
Thank you very much for that. This is going to be a dungeon which typically is incredibly long, lots of puzzles, lots of mini-bosses to do, but we're kind of doing a lot of it backwards, thanks to the fact that secret passageways work from either side. So as long as you know where they are, even if they're not marked on the wall, you can still get through them.
Yeah, 'cause I think most of these are kind of intended to be one way because there's lava in front of one side of it, but bomb arrows go over lava. Imagine a lot of these, there's very little hints in the game that they exist, too.
Yeah, this is basically taking a dungeon that is super long and complicated. It makes it one of my favorite dungeons as a result of how many skips in here. Also going to be getting some emergency arrows for marathon safety. You absolutely need as many arrows you get for the final boss, otherwise you will actually just kind of probably game over in there. And that 10-pack there gives me a little bit of wiggle room to work with here. Let's wait for you around there. Like we talked earlier about, the arrow routing is very, very precise in this because of it being a resource both at the beginning when you don't expect to have the bow, but also later on when the bow is required to beat the boss. Also, let's see if I get some good fireball luck here.
Oh,
No.
Ooh, the Pobodos have your number.
Yeah, they're angry today. It looks really satisfying when it gives me a good fireball pattern.
Oh, I'm sure.
But no, we're going to have to fight Mike Tyson here now.
Who?
He's got a mean uppercut, too, that will kick you back to the beginning of the dungeon if it hits you.
What?
If it does this big spin punch, yeah, it launches you up into the air and you have to go all the way back to the beginning.
It's like Debo from Friday.
And you were one screen before the fire rod.
Burn, baby, burn.
Oh, man. All right, I'm just going to have to live vicariously through you here because I didn't get to do it last night.
Oh, we're going to enjoy this thing.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, the fire, I mean,
I'm glad you get to.
the fire rod is more or less meant to be one of your last items that you pick up, so it is very, very strong in this game because there's no like MP system in this game like Link to the Past, so you can use this infinitely. Does a lot of damage and creates fireballs that burn stuff too, and causes a lot of glitches that we won't be seeing. But
Yeah, most of the glitches were on the original version of the game where basically you could delete cutscenes and things. Like, it was real broken.
Oh, wow.
But in Link's Awakening DX, it is mainly here for just a very short period of time because normally you'd be done with the game after Palace 8, more or less. But we still have Palace 7. It's going to be taking this fire rod over there to deal with the boss there a little bit better.
Well, wasn't there another palace? Was it 4 that you haven't?
We'll also do Palace 4, don't worry.
Okay.
That spooky ghost is not going
Dan has
anywhere.
issues with counting.
Dan has issues with a lot of things.
Dan has issues.
And he's got the one frame tap there to fall down the ladder quickly.
All right, let's see if we get a better fight against this guy. Nice.
Nice. That fight can go off the rails in a hurry if you lose control of the squid.
Especially when the room is full of lava and you take damage if you ever touch the center.
That's something I do appreciate in older games like this is when they reuse content in the form of enemies, but change the environment you fight them in a way that kind of totally transforms the experience.
Yeah, one of the gimmicks of Palisade is that you basically see the mini-boss from every single previous palace all make a reprisal here.
Oh, nice.
As part of the things. We're just kind of skipping most of them, so.
Including the skeleton jerk that you had to keep doing?
Not every single one, but all the ones that are like the mini bosses.
Gotcha.
And one more A6 to go, and we are at the boss here.
Brr.
Thank you for that little tutorial while I was trying to go through the block. And by the way, Nintendo has taken out this particular method I'm going to use on the Switch version. Why not let me do that?
All right. Now we get another another lesson 2, fight fire with fire.
Gotta be really careful with those fireballs. They do 4 hearts of damage, which is ridiculous in this game where you have maybe 9 health. And there he goes.
Nice.
You two are in the dream. Shoutouts to just the quality of the English localization for a game from '93 originally, too.
Nintendo had always been pretty good about that. They were pioneering things in that department. Wasn't that much later that we got Earthbound, and that localization's excellent.
I'll do a little bit of wiggle here because the turtle is still outside, so we're going to be stuck inside of it. Just got to go and wiggle our way through. There we go.
Nice.
Yeah, our pacifist Turtle Rock experience.
But I think it is time to go up to Palace 7, which is going to be our last really notorious palace for difficult tricks and things.
Have I got a minute here?
And you've got plenty of time while I'm going across there.
Fantastic. I do have a $25 donation from Pika-Lax Alt. Thank you very much, Pika-Lax. And I have a $20 donation from Dragonista, who says, had to donate to Bakamitai to cleanse our ears of that frog song.
That sounds like a really good idea, actually.
Speaking of Bakamitai, we are making progress on those 2 big incentives for Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, the next run up on our schedule, but they do still need some help to get there. Bakamitai currently has $780 out of 2,000 needed, and we're just past halfway on the Watch Summoning Essences cutscenes incentive, with $513 out of 1,000. So if you'd like to see those extra incentives in the Infinite Wealth run, get your donations in.
Little boy. He's doing fine up there. We don't need to risk him. And in fact, because you all graciously donated to unlock the code, we'll see Papoy a bonus time in this round, which you normally do not get to do.
Bonk.
Yeah, this is the part of the game that is very reminiscent of the spiral caves of Link to the Past. You can tell Link's got a lot of nightmares about those.
Yeah, I do like kind of the world building in this game, too, where, I mean, we're in a dream. We're in the dream of the Windfish, but Link's dreams are part of this, too, which is why we're seeing a lot of, like, stuff from previous Zelda games, too, because it's Link's dreams and Link's nightmares.
Right up to the top, and this is definitely not the best palace opening, but I will admit it's probably second place. Because this is the tower where the birds are.
That is impressive animation for a Game Boy.
And that means this is the tower with a lot of jerks.
Yep. Yeah, this dungeon does have some pretty interesting and unique mechanics as far as how you make progress in it, too. Which we will be seeing because it's glitchless, too.
Yep.
You actually get to do the whole dungeon, which a lot of glitch categories you miss out on some of the really fun aspects, which is why I like doing the glitchless run of this particular game. Just to show off some more of the cool storyline.
And cause some major property damage.
Yes, this ball here has a mind of its own. So unlike everything else, it'll actually remember its location. And we're going to use that to smash all these pillars here. But sometimes, when somebody has misgreased the walrus, the grease could instead get on the ball, and that would be catastrophic.
Goodness, I thought you'd forgotten about that already.
I will never forget the walrus one. It's personal. All right, so I left my ball up at the top there. It's going to stay there, but we're going to go and do a little bit more of the dungeon here, go and visit the mini-boss of this place. And we're also going to go right by where the mirror shield was. This is the item that you're supposed to have to get into Palace 8 normally. It's right there, right at the beginning of Palace 7. It's not at all hidden. But other than that, a little bit of the fire, it doesn't really have a lot of use as a shield upgrade. I think it blocks maybe a few more things that your regular shield does not. All right, time to get this guy out of the way. And this is a much more fun boss. He has a flock of bats. You have to kill him in one cycle. So if you miss any of the bats, he'll respawn them all and you have to do them again. But if you know where to stand on some of the patterns, it goes like that. And then because I go through the door so fast, it kind of thinks we're still in the boss fight, which is not a glitch, it's just music. Don't worry.
Okay.
I love the dialogue there, having him stammer
Yeah.
to get around Nintendo's pretty stringent translation restrictions at the time.
It'll eventually fix the music, don't worry. I was gonna play some cards first. Oh. There we go, we'll fix it there. Let's go for spades. There we go.
Nice.
Okay.
I need any combination of 3. It doesn't matter which one. You get a bonus if you have hearts or diamonds. But again, I just need to spawn that chest there. So I will totally take spades or clubs if we get them. And of course, I will always take more towers. Tower complete. Now remember we left our ball there a little while ago. We are going to go and reunite with it. And this is where the ball magic's going to happen. Or we're going to be very sad. One of the two. There's pillar number 3 done, and pillar number 4 is going to be the tricky one here.
This is a really cool trick.
Get that again.
Oh, wow.
So you're not supposed to be able to pick up balls in the jump, but if I'm jumping first and pick up the ball in midair and then throw the ball while still in midair and with enough height that it crosses over there, because as you go down, the ball is going to go a short distance and fall in the pit, then you can get across there and avoid having to do an entire loop around the tower, which has now collapsed.
So
Nice.
we are telling the we are now telling the owner of this tower what we think of the bird-themed decor too.
That's another place where if you save and quit too fast, it will forget that you have collapsed the tower and you have to do the entire thing over again.
Yeah. So kind of the functional purpose of this is that it makes some pretty major changes to the top floor of the tower, which without using like out-of-bounds tech and stuff we need to do in order to get to the boss room.
Yeah, this totally changes the map of Palace 7 once you do that, which is one of the reasons why it's such a difficult dungeon to figure out, but also why a lot of online resources are just wrong, because they will make up what the map is supposed to be.
Yeah.
It's kind of neat too, kind of like how we had a rival with the skeleton troll. We have a rival in this dungeon with this guy too, who's the mini boss and then gets promoted to Jerkbird Trainer.
Oh.
I'm going to scroll them up to reset the start of the fight, and thanks to our fire rod, with infinite ammunition, I can fight him down here instead of being up at the top where he's going to try and knock me off. You can still get knocked off, but it's a lot safer and a lot faster down here doing it with the fire rod.
This is a very rough fight, casually too, because if you get knocked off, which a lot of his attacks will do, it resets the entire fight. You are in his dream.
Yeah, it is Moldorm, but an even bigger jerk.
More ominous parting words from the boss.
All right, there is Palace 7 done, but we have a bonus for you all because you did donate for the color dungeon. I'm going to go ahead and do that now before we do Palace 4. Once we get Palace 4 done and we trigger the Spooky Ghost quest, we cannot do anything below a certain region of the world, or else the Spooky Ghost will come and haunt us. So this is my last opportunity to do the color dungeon. That means that we get to see a dungeon that was brand new to Link's Awakening DX.
And as far as what the spooky ghost does too, it hangs around and it prevents you from entering dungeons, and you have to basically exercise it by taking it home and then do its grave, which is very slow.
Yeah, it crosses the entire world twice.
Oh, do we have a minute while we're on the way to the dungeon?
Oh, you got some time.
Perfect. I have $25 from Synthpop is back, who says, "Hi, Vonnie."
Hell yeah, it is.
And I have a $200 anonymous donation, and with that, we have reached $65,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi.
Oh my goodness, I didn't even notice this. This was immediately followed by another $250 anonymous donation.
Let's go.
We are past halfway to meeting the Bakamitai incentive for Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. So let's keep that momentum going, and let's make those runners sing.
Yeah, Bakamitai is a big classic for the Yakuza games. It is like the ending of Dragon Quest III when everybody sings along. You gotta do it, so you gotta donate.
Maybe if we ever have this run again too, we could have an incentive to sing the frog song.
No.
Maybe not.
I think there should be an incentive to not sing the wrong song.
Now you're thinking like a charity
There we go.
organizer.
Yes.
All right, so first of all, they have to test to make sure that you do have an official Game Boy Color. I'm playing on the Game Boy Player, which does count. So this looks like the blue one. Don't tell anyone. That's a secret.
I really, really, really love this remix of the Zelda 1 dungeon theme too. It's so good.
There's our red one. And in we go. I just love that this is like all custom stuff. There is nothing reused from previous areas. You're going to see new music, new monsters, totally new mechanics.
Yeah, a neat thing about this game too is it is playable on an original Game Boy too. It's not in color, but you can still play it.
And it'll also change the ending as well for the game if you played on the original Game Boy. Or on the Super Game Boy, which is another great way of playing these games.
What's the consequence of getting their questions wrong in the beginning?
It just doesn't let you in the dungeon.
Oh, okay.
You can just try again.
Yeah. Okay.
So you can brute force it.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is just a totally optional dungeon that was added to the DX color remake of Link's Awakening, and that yeah, like Jair said, it just really flexes what this system can handle as far as all this unique stuff, and you get a nice quote unquote upgrade for finishing it.
Yeah, we'll talk about the upgrades when we get there. Alright, one of our mini-boss is done. Now we got the big key of this dungeon. So it's basically a fresh new dungeon. It's kind of in there as dungeon number 10. That always reminded me of the tsunamis from Secret of Mana.
Yep.
For those guys.
Romp.
This is the Stone Hinox. Gotta kill him with bombs or fire rods. That works too.
It always reminds me of the Golem from Dragon Quest.
There we go. Okay, let's start with the green one. Oh, gonna block my green hole. Let's go with that one over there. Get them in nearby areas. That'll help with it. They're being rude.
Oh, my goodness. Oh,
Oh.
hey.
Hey, there we go. All right, one more to go. Sometimes they do not want to cooperate.
First jerk birds, now we have jerk blobs.
There we go.
Yeah.
Of course, the world's most difficult puzzle here. It's actually really tough if you're trying to figure that out on your own. That you just have to hit the corners. And on to our final boss of the color dungeon. He tries to fake you out by telling you that, you know, it's getting more dangerous as the color turns to the color red. Take your time. But it turns out the danger is for him.
Yep. All right, now for our prize.
Yep, now we have the power of color here. We can either take the blue tunic, which gives us defense,
you,
or
thief.
the red tunic, which gives us offense. And you'd think for a speedrun you take offense, because obviously more damage is better, but it turns out that the offense never really helps. Like, you never kill things with your swords. It actually slows things down because it knocks the enemies further away. So if you ever see a 100% run of this game, it'll be typically with the blue tunic for going through here. And that'll be our color dungeon completed.
Very good.
If I took the red one, I get a little bit different sound when I hit Ganon at the very end of the game and some of the other things, but I'll take the blue out of solidarity with the other 100% speedruns.
This is my favorite color, so I approve.
Yep.
As a reward, you got a $100 donation from Iron Pharaohs.
Thank you very much for that. All right, now back to our regularly scheduled Palace 4. The reason that we want to do Palace 7 after Palace 8, in addition to the fact that you have the Fire Rod for the boss, is because getting back to Palace 4, you have basically the exit of 7 dumping you right out to Palace 4. Doing the color dungeon in the middle was very much not how it would be optimally routed for it, but we did this for the incentive here, thanks to again, all of your generous support for those donations. And this does mean as a bonus. Once more, where everyone's going to have a good time to wave to Papoy and make sure he's doing great up there. Keep it up, Papoy.
Yep.
He does not need any rescuing at all. All right, here we go. Palace 4. So we are back to our very last palace now of the game for the regular ones. And I think we've got this little mini-boss checkpointer which lets us get into this area right where we left off. And go and grab the big key. Which normally you're supposed to see this pattern displayed elsewhere in the dungeon and you're going to copy it. We're going to figure it out a different way. So it's center, southwest, which means we got the one in the northeast next. And it turns out there's a limited number of patterns, so you just memorize all the combinations. This will not work, though, with Dungeon 9, which has a much bigger set, especially on the Switch version, which I think is 256 for both of these. But it turns out that there is a different way that we're going to figure out our pathway through Palace 9 here, right after we get our final nightmare done here. Speaking of Switch version, they cut that little shortcut out by putting another pot right there, which you can still get past because you can bomb arrow it, and then you can jump across there.
Oh.
Speaking of bomb arrows, let's go fishing.
Bro, he just wanted food. We're all hungry.
Fish.
There's our surf harp, which sounds 100% like a Pokemon item. And our last of the 8 instruments, which means that it is time now to head over to the very final dungeon of the game. And this one has a very long final boss. So I will tell you when to get ready on time, but it is going to be several phases in.
Get some misleading directions from our all friend there too.
Yeah, I was kind of confused about what we're doing now.
So if you remember the giant egg in the middle of this island that's on the title screen, well, that is our final destination here.
And like pretty much else, everything in the game, you can go here whenever you want. There's a conversation with it now that we're going to get that you could have had like 3 minutes into the game, more or less. Well, let's go ahead and get those owls done now.
Have I got a minute?
Let's wait until after we play the song.
Okay.
It is a jam
Yep. It better be, given that we're playing 8 different instruments at the same time by ourselves.
with an ocarina.
Yep.
And before you jump in, one more thing I will explain is that normally you have to do a bunch of questing to get the directions to get through the egg, but if you never do that quest, the initial value is the same every time for your file. And that's why I'm going to be able to know how to get through here. So, Showtime, if you want to take it away, you got a couple minutes.
Thank you very much. I just want to bring to attention, as we prepare to wrap up this Link's Awakening run, we have a lot of prizes on offer, and the period to become eligible for them is going to expire at the end of this run. Many of them are based on the Final Fantasy XIV run that you might have caught earlier in the day, such as an autographed Death Unto Dawn Final Fantasy XIV soundtrack disc. You can donate a minimum of $20 to be eligible for that one. You can have a Dragon Quest Wax Murderer statue for $5. You can have a Final Fantasy XIV Lionheart Gunblade for $10. You can have several Final Fantasy XIV Pearlers for $5. There are plenty of prizes on offer, but you do have to get your donations in right this second. There's not much time left on this Link's Awakening run.
All right, and we have our final boss, which is Link's Nightmares. It's a very long gauntlet of very cool throwbacks to opponents from previous Zelda games.
All right, give me at least one bounce. Optimally, you get one bounce. It's RNG whether you get 1, 2, or 3 here. If you get all 3,
Big fan of actually getting to hear the music for this fight, too, unlike in glitch runs.
and next we're going to get the next favorite bit of RNG. It's Aghanim.
Oh, no.
So the first 2 shots are always real. So as long as we don't blow those, we only have 2 shots left to go with 50% chance of blue balls, no guarantee on blue ball safety. So my record there is 12 in a row on blue balls.
Oh.
There's blue ball number 1.
One. It's blue in the metaphorical sense.
We know what you mean.
Number 2.
There's 2.
All right, 1 more to go. Number 3. On average, you're going to get 2, so we're not doing too badly so far. All right, Aghanim's done.
Nice.
All right, Moldorm's done.
Yep, nice stun lock there from just hitting Moldorm as soon as it spawns.
Yeah, you're doing the spin to hit him as he's spawning in, and you got to get 16 hits in on top of that. There is Ganon done. I don't even know what that thing is, but it's done. And now the final boss is coming up, and time will not be at the end of the final boss.
Yes, I believe this is Death Hill, the final nightmare, and then this
Death
boss.
Eye, it's a capital I. It's really tricky. Nobody gets that right.
Yep, this boss is only susceptible to arrows, which is why Jair got those safety arrows earlier, because it's, I believe, 16 hits.
16 to the eye when it
If
blinks.
you run out of arrows, then you lose.
Yep, you can kill it with bombs, but you have to time the bomb perfectly so it lands exactly when he's blinking, which is nearly impossible because you've got no indication of it. So we're just going to be super cautious with our arrows. You can try to stuff in as many as 4 per cycle. I'm just going to go for 3s. And take our time here. Sadly, you do not get the good boss music for the very final boss, which is...
Yeah, doesn't the Switch version have unique music for this fight?
Yeah, it's got a couple of upgrades there. All right, he's almost into the clock pattern here. Which means he's gotten below half health.
Come on.
And there is Death Eye down.
Right.
Thief.
And the title will be when we hit the top of the screen here. And time. So that was Link's Awakening DX. That went really well throughout the run. I had a great time doing this. We'll get to enjoy our last bit of owls after all the time that we've had together.
Oh, yes.
We're going to miss these owls with every arrow we shoot. But I do want to thank both of you for coming out here. It's been great having you as commentators along here
this was a lot of
enjoying the
fun.
run.
Yeah, my pleasure.
I'd like to give a couple of shout-outs to some people that over the years I've really enjoyed watching Link's Awakening and got me into speedrunning this game. So Feasel, who did the original Link's Awakening a long time ago. TGH, who's got the world record in nearly every category of like every version of Link's Awakening, and Ice Blue as well, who's a massive fan of Link's Awakening.
Yes.
Has done a whole bunch with the Switch version. Enjoy the Windfish, long as he slumbered.
Yeah, every time I heard Marin's song, I thought of Ice Blue. Yeah, absolutely a super fan of that song and everything.
Yeah, some very bittersweet ending too, because like the Windfish said, I mean, it's the nature of dreams to end, and our time on Covalent Island with the friends we made there does need to come to an end now, sadly.
Have I got the time for one last donation?
Jump right in.
$50 from Aklerin. Dan has somehow failed to complete Link's Awakening. The thief stole his spot.
Silvani, do you have any shout-outs that you'd like to give here as well?
I mean, shout outs to you for including me here. This is a fun ride. This is a really cool game and one that I might want to actually play casually now just because it's really charming. It's got a lot of cool stuff in it. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I highly encourage people playing either Link's Awakening DX here if you've got love for the original Game Boy version. The Switch version is excellent as well. All kinds of quality life improvements and new features. Plexel, anything for you?
Well, I mean, just shout-outs to the people that made this game, just for doing just such masterful work on the Game Boy, on a very limited platform, and bringing me and many others so much fun and joy over many years.
I think this was a game that a lot of people have very fond memories of playing in a car.
Yep.
Yeah.
For hours until their batteries ran out.
Like the spooky cutscene at the Face Shrine, I remember seeing for the first time, like at a hotel my family was staying at when I was staying up late to play Game Boy, and I probably had some trouble sleeping after that at a young age. Yes. But maybe too, if you beat the game Deathless too, there is actually a good ending where you do find out that Marin's dream of kind of getting to explore new worlds may have come true, and it's very slightly different in every version of this game too, which is kind of a nice touch. That it's very heavily implied that Marin is reincarnated as a seagull. But Thief does not get that, unfortunately.
Yeah, we have to take the one death to steal our shovel and bow. But with that, thank you very much, everyone. Enjoy the rest of the event, and take care.